we're recording. All right. So as I close my outer eyes and take a breath in and let it go. Another centering breath, bringing myself present. And release. And so we just open. We open to that divine breath of life that breathes each and every one of us. We give thanks knowing that the Great Spirit is the adventure, is the spiritual adventure into Egypt. November 2023, with Unity Santa Fe, Reverend Karen Fry and myself, knowing that we are open to the adventure. Spirit is desiring to have this adventure into mysticism and mystery and the sweetness that only Egypt has. And so we just open to this informational time, knowing that we are called, or we're not called, but we are here present. And so we are just so grateful for this opportunity, knowing it is good and very good. And in agreement, knowing this is so, we say together, and so it is.
So it is.
So I'm basically going to just pass this over to Karen Fry. This has been my adventure, my dream to do spiritual travel. There are companies that do such, and it is the right place, the right time, and the right person, Karen Fry, who's been there many times, and she'd be the person to start us off on our adventures. So Karen Fry, take it away.
Beautiful. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm so grateful to be with you all. And I just trust that many of us are going to get to travel together and get to know one another next year in November of 2023. So I'm going to share my screen on several occasions. And I just want to start out with a little, I have a few slides, but I'm really calling this trip Magic, Mysticism, and Manifestation. And Egypt is the heartbeat. Egypt, many believe, is the place in which spirituality started, and certainly metaphysics, and a heck of a lot of mysticism and mystery. So I've been there twice. I'm taking our community, CSL Dallas, Center for Spiritual Living Dallas, there for the second time this November. So I will be there pretty much at the exact same time as we will be going next year on a very similar itinerary. And this is an itinerary that I put together after talking with Reverend Liz. And this is an itinerary, I kid you not, that's unlike any that you could get any other way and go see Egypt. You just can't. I will guarantee and promise you that on many levels. The thing about Egypt is that it all sort of started there. And here's an Egyptian proverb that may sound familiar to you, may have heard this before, may have seen this before, and yet the roots of all spirituality is coming out of Egypt. So the kingdom of heaven is within, and whoever shall find themselves shall find this kingdom. And that's one of the things that I love to do in taking a group to Egypt, is to enable each of us to discover new things about ourselves, to find our way, to set intentions, to have very magical, mystical experiences. I promise everyone that they'd at least have one. I don't really like to share a lot of my previous experiences in that realm because it's going to be different for every single person. But that which is within, you're going to bring stuff home within you that will fully enable you to manifest your life in new, creative, expansive, prosperous, freedom, a sense of freedom and awe for the rest of your life. That's why I want to keep going back. And everything in Egypt is alive. Okay, we know this. We know that everything is alive everywhere, but I mean, everything in Egypt is alive. This is at the Egyptian Museum, not the new one that's going to open, I trust, November of this year. But I took some photographs. I'm a photographer as well, and I took some photographs, and the statues in Egypt are alive. And it's like a statue you can actually see. They put the soul into their statues, and I've not ever seen anything like it. And here's a quote piece of wood, a statue, and yet it's like you're looking through into the soul. In fact, there are some statues in Egypt that you're suggested and recommended not to spend a lot of time and hang out with, okay, because you might not want some dark energy. Because there's all kinds of energy in the universe, as we know. So I want to go over the itinerary. I want to tell you some key things. I want to show you where you can find things. I want to answer questions that you have, give you a feel for this trip so you can discern whether this is for you or not. And you can discern who do you want to invite to come along, okay? So a couple of key things right off of the bat. As we go through this itinerary, it's included to be as all-inclusive as pretty much it can be. It is the most all-inclusive spiritual travel trip that I lead and have led. It's also the most high-end as far as accommodations. They're all 5-star places that we stay at. The food is second to none. You will actually fall in love with the Egyptian food. I was surprised when I went the first time how good the food was. And everything is taken care for you. So when you look at this price, which there has been an increase because it is now, I think, hotels and airfares and things are trying to catch up maybe with the past 2 years. So there has been an increase, but I'm grateful that the increase is a lot less than I was expecting. But this thing is still under $5,500 for 2 weeks in Egypt. And like I said, it's pretty much all inclusive, which means everything but your airfare to get there. I tend to use mileage or something, and you plan it so far in advance. You get some very inexpensive flights. There's great flights already checked out of Albuquerque. It's easy, usually go through London. That's not a long flight. And then there's a quick flight into Cairo. So it's very easy travel on us compared to other destinations I go to. Some of them are 24 hours. This is like, for me from Dallas, it's 8 and 10. Piece of cake with a nice little layover break, okay? So the flights are wonderful and easy to get there. So it does not include your flight. It does not include a $25 visa because they cannot. It's just the rules. We cannot do that for you. In some countries you can in advance, but you can't in Egypt. So you bring $25 exact change, get your visa when we land in Cairo. And pretty much from that moment on, everything except a few meals, which will be noted, that aren't included, and any drinks that you have including bottled water, things like that. But everything else is included. Our flights, because there'll be a flight up and back to Cairo, out and back, all of our accommodations, and all of the tips. Did you hear that? That's like, if you've ever been on a trip, you can get tipped to death and you feel like, okay, all I'm doing is tipping. And every single person that you come in contact, all the housekeepers, everyone, they're getting tipped. It's all taken care of. Baggage handlers, everything. Okay. So other than a few meals, your drinks, and the incredible shopping that your dollar goes so far in Egypt, that's pretty much, you're locked and loaded on the cost of this trip. Okay. So I want to share with you. I'm gonna go into the place that you've probably already seen. I made a web page for us here on, and Reverend Liz gave the link, but I want to go over it and also show you where you can see a lot of different things on the website. First of all, if you want to find out a little bit about me, here's a link. And I am a people person. I'm an extrovert. I love people. I love to travel with people. I like to have dinner and sit around and talk. And yes, I like to have my quiet time. But if you want to have somebody to hang out and ask questions and travel with, I'm your person. Very easy going, moving in the world. And I tend to be exceptionally enthusiastic about life. So I hope that works for you all. The other thing is, I want to say, I forgot to say this up front. I'll never forget someone that I met probably about 20 years ago told me, all intelligent women over 40 make sure that they live in Santa Fe. I'm like, I can get that. I love Santa Fe. I would love to live in Santa Fe, come visit you all, but y'all are living in a great place if you're living in Santa Fe. So I just want to say that too. Okay, so there's a lot of links on this. It not only tells you about the trip, but it has links. Okay, so we arrive, you just need to arrive sometime on Thursday, November 16th. Because we don't really start until the next morning, but some people like me even come in a day early. If you want to do that, if you want to come in a day early, you're welcome to. You don't need to, but there's pricing to have an extra night at the Mina house if you want to do that. And so you can come all the way up till late in the evening, early in the morning, and it doesn't matter when you arrive. Our travel company that I work hand in hand with will meet you at the airport, even if you're coming in by yourself. You will not be alone when you arrive. And that means you will not be alone when you leave, by the way. I had a 3 a.m. flight leaving one time, and I was taken to the airport. So it doesn't matter, okay? So I want to show you and invite you to click on links after we're done. But the Mina house is one of the most exquisite properties on the planet. Egypt is my favorite place to go. That's why I keep wanting to go back. You literally wake up and see the Great Pyramids. Okay, this is an exquisite property. It's a 5-star property. We stay at the first 3 nights coming in and 2 nights on the back end. The food is incredible. Every morning you are going to have a buffet breakfast that will literally knock your socks off. I just trust me when I say I don't over exaggerate anything that I'm sharing. Okay. This is just the truth. And so sometimes we go out before sunrise. We'll talk about that. But when we come back, we have this incredible breakfast. It's also a beautiful place to hang out at night. It's all lit up. It's gorgeous. And they have fire pits here by the swimming pool. And we can have drinks together into the evening, beautiful music. And look, the pyramids are lit up. So I invite you, it's a Marriott property. I invite you to check that out on that link whenever you'd like to do that. Okay, so we do spend 3 nights there. So the first day we're going, I really trust, this has been promised now for 3 years, but by next year for sure, the Grand Egyptian Museum should be open, which is going to be one of the most grand museums on the planet as well. If it's not by some slim chance, we'll go to the Egyptian Museum of Cairo, which is the place I've gone up until now. And that's where I took that picture of the statue. It is a beautiful museum. It has King Tut exhibit. It's just phenomenal. Okay, so we start off there. And then we will go to a historical part in Cairo like you've not ever seen. You'll feel like you're back in Alibaba. It's like, yeah, it's like you've rubbed a magic lamp, and we will guide you and tell you how you absolutely want to bargain. In fact, it's a game in Egypt. You never pay list price or anything that they ask. They want you to play the game of negotiating. And so you can walk away with pashimas and silk scarves and tunics and all kinds of things for very inexpensive amounts of money. I brought back several tunics, and literally I bought them from a woman there in the bazaar for $7 and for Petra, and she is still wearing them, and that was 2016, and they were $7. So beautiful shopping, and we get to check that out. And so on the first day, we'll have breakfast and dinner that's included. So that means lunch is on your own. So we will get to know each other as many days as we can. We will have an hour spiritual practice meeting time. There's a theme for this. I'll walk you through it as much as I can every single day. On certain days, we may not be able to get our spiritual practice in because we're traveling or something like this. But we're not going as tourists. We're literally doing this as a sacred travel tour. And we are doing spiritual practice together, and we will have things I'll invite you to open up to, contemplate, experience, and then there'll be some time also for sharing, and that's how we get to know one another, fall deeper into being with one another. And most people walk away with great friends because we've traveled together for 2 weeks outside of our daily life. So the day 3 is a very special day. This is something that I have to stop the share here for a second and go back. This is something that you can't get anywhere else. And that is, we will get up very early in the morning before sunrise. We will, I'll literally get to unlock the gate in the Giza Plaza where the Great Pyramids are and the Great Sphinx. And we will have a sunrise meditation. And there will only be 20 people, 20 of us there, and a couple of guards and an Egyptologist, okay? And we will spend a few hours there. And you will be allowed to stand between the paws of the Great Sphinx. We'll I do spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, set your intentions. I mean, this will be such a powerful moment. And we will be there, just us. I'm gonna weep. And then when we've soaked all that up as much as possible, we will get in our luxurious little bus and we will leave. And as we're leaving, you will see 8 to 10 tour buses coming in to the area. Thousands of people are there. I mean, you'll get pictures with no one standing around you. This is a priceless way, and we do something like this 3 times on this trip, and this is the first time that we get to have private moments at the Great Sphinx, which is estimated to be over 8,000 years old. We will have an Egyptologist with us so that I don't have to know all this stuff, thank goodness. We will hear much about every place that we go. And the other thing I want to say, which is exceptionally important to me and to anyone else that travels, is Egypt is the one place that I have felt the safest when I travel. And some people have heard that Egypt is not a safe place to travel. I can tell you that I am always at ease when we travel. The government of Egypt, especially for Americans, says you must treat them with love, with kindness, and with enthusiasm, and they do. It's like welcome to the motherland. And we will have an armed person with us, and that's just in case, but you would not even know it. You just think it's part of our travel team. But we do that, but that sort of can put everybody's mind at rest, that it's very, very safe to travel in Egypt, especially this way. I'm not sure I'd go out on my own in Egypt, but I absolutely will do this as often as I can. Okay. I can't see everybody, but if you do have a question as I'm going, you really raise your hand. Liz will see it. She can tell me, but you know, you don't have to wait to the end, especially if it's around a specific location as I'm going through the itinerary. All right. Now, here we go again. Here we go. Okay, so after we visit the Giza Plaza and we get to be with the Great Sphinx, then we go back for breakfast. And then we go to Saqqara, which is another place. It's not the Giza Plaza, but it's actually the oldest pyramid in Egypt. It's called the Step Pyramid. And when I've been there, the previous 2 times, they were in massive renovation with that pyramid. And in 2016, when I was there, this is the Step Pyramid. It's the oldest. This was when they were renovating it. They searched the world over to find a renovation expert to help put this back together, because it is the oldest pyramid. And it took them 4 years. It's sort of like the book, The Alchemist. They looked all over the world and they found an Egyptian to help them restore this pyramid. And it just so happened the day that we were there to see that pyramid, he was there. And I'll never forget this moment. And he stopped. I mean, this is a very famous man that helps with ancient architecture. And he gave me and our group his time, but what he told me, I'll never forget. And it was, again, under renovation at the time. He said, "You see that?" And he was pointing to the pyramid above ground. He said, "You see that? That's not it. It's bigger than that, turned upside down underneath the ground." But we didn't get to see it. And I trust we do. Can't promise that because I haven't experienced that yet. But these are the things about Egypt that is mind-blowing. It's like, how is that possible, right? So that's one of the places that will also be profoundly moving for all of us as we move through that in the afternoon. And so we get breakfast and lunch that day. Okay. I'll go back to sharing. Y'all doing good? Give me a thumbs up. Is that okay? All right, then we're going to fly after we have breakfast at the Mina house. We're going to fly to, we go into Aswan. And that is where Aswan is where the Nile is, and we get to check in to the historic hotel, Old Cataract. And I've eaten there, but I've not gotten to stay there. So I'm going to show you just a very quick little video so you can get a feel for this. And hang on just a second. Well, I'm going to invite you to do it, but I don't want to do the video on this one because I have another video. But let me just pull up a couple of pictures real quick. But this is where Agatha Christie wrote Death on the Nile, at this hotel. And it is a 5-star, unbelievable, gorgeous hotel again. The rooms are exquisite. It is It has great history to it. It's very old. It's also on the Nile itself. So we are staying on the Nile in this hotel for a night. It's got a spa. We've got all kinds of things that we get to do. It's a beautiful hotel. So we'll take full advantage of that. So we've taken a quick flight, and then we check in and we get to hang out there on the Nile in this beautiful hotel. Then the next morning, we're going to have another private visit. We will get up early again before sunrise. It's worth it, I promise you. We get up before sunrise, and we are going to the Temple of Isis on the island. It's called the Temple of Philae. And we will get there. We take little baby boats, little motor boats. We're the only ones on the boat. And the sun hasn't even come up yet. And no one is around. And we have the entire island to ourselves. Yes, I think I saw a hand. Did I see a hand?
You did see a hand. Karen, what is the weather like in November?
Great question. I chose November on purpose because the weather is awesome for Egypt. It's 75 to 80 degrees during the day, and it can get cool at night, like in the 50s. It is the month that you want to go to Egypt. I've been there in November, and I've also been there in May, and it was really hot. I won't be going back in May. So the weather's nice that time of the year. Great question. So we'll have a sunrise meditation. You'll have time by yourself on the island. And let's see. We get to explore the temple as the sun comes up. And the sun hitting the Temple of Isis is gorgeous, and you get to be in the Holy of the Holy chamber on the Temple of Isis. We will be doing exercises during our time together. Sometimes if we have time and we can, this would be one of those occasions we can do something there in the temple itself. And we're going to bring in the qualities of a lot of these gods and goddesses of Egypt. And, we're going to do, I don't want to tell you what all we're going to do on our spiritual practices, but it's power. So this is another opportunity to have private time. We will be there for a couple of hours, and then we will leave just as they're opening the gates and all the tourists come in. So it's very, very special. Okay, then after that, we go back for breakfast, and you have an option while we're there to take a sailboat ride, felucca ride. Very special. It's an option that you pay for. You can also go to a little place, and it's a little island. I've been there, and I trust that we will be able, for the people that want to, swim in the Nile if you want to. It is the cleanest, the safest, and it is an itty bitty little spot, but I think that we can manage that again because I love doing it. I've done it twice. And so you have an opportunity to swim in the Nile River. It's the only place that I would swim in the Nile River. Though you're encouraged, you might be encouraged after going to the Temple of Isis to do it there. And I just wasn't gutsy enough. But now I know the Nile, I might do it with you. But there's another opportunity, meaning it was early morning and cold. But there's another opportunity that afternoon. And then we check in to our private sailboat yacht. So this is why the trip is limited to 18 people and Reverend Liz and I. No more can go because of this yacht. So this is something that I do want to share with you. I'd like for you to watch this video. Can y'all see the video that I'm about to show? Liz, give me a thumbs up. Okay.
Aaron, for me, your whatever Zoom, I don't know if it's your screen share thing, it's grayed out, but it's right in the kind of the middle. It's on the left. It's blocking a bit of the screen for me anyway. I'm not sure if anyone
Oh,
else.
thank you. All right, here we go. Thank you for telling me it's probably you all. Is that better?
Yep, definitely. Thank
Okay, you can see the black now.
Yep.
All right, here we go. So just soak this up. This is a private yacht. We will be the only ones on it other than the chefs and the people to tend to us. No one else. That's a Felucca ride. All right, give me a second. I don't want this to play again. All right, so that gives you a little bit of a feel of the private yacht that we'll be on. Yes.
My question is, I'm easily seasick. The Nile is quiet.
Great question, Marietta. I'm right there with you. I am exceptionally easily seasick. So it is quiet, and I basically just take Dramamine with me anytime I'm on the water. I just take it either every 12 hours or 24 hours or whichever method you do. Take some Dramamine and take it every day. We'll be on that yacht for 6 nights, and it's intentional so that we have relaxing time and yeah, so you would have no issue, I promise you, if you take Dramamine. Now, if you don't want to take Dramamine, I mean, there are other holistic kind of motion sickness things, and there are bands and things like that. The Nile, there's not like motorboats and all that. The Nile is pretty calm, but I would personally, I'm taking Dramamine every day. So hope that helps. Okay. Yes, Shelley.
I've been fortunate enough to be on several cruises, and they also have a patch, which is like a medication that you can put it on and it lasts for 3 days or longer. It's a very subtle feeling, but it doesn't sound like we would actually need it for this particular thing, but it's just another option I just wanted to add.
Great, absolutely great option. So it is, let me just get out of here.
I think
Karen?
Joanne had a question.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Karen, are you always seeing a shore? How wide is the Nile? Or
You're always seeing the shore. Yes, the Nile isn't that wide. You're actually seeing both sides of the shore, pretty much. I think all the time. Yeah. Yeah. So just call them out, Liz. I need to bring you all back up. I minimized you all. Okay, now let's see. Back to our itinerary. So we check in and we sail down to Umbo. And there's a temple. It's near the water. It's Sobek. It's like light and dark, two gods, strength, fertility, rebirth, Osiris, Iris. We'll be talking about all this. It's beautiful in the yin yang of life. So we'll do some things around that. It's a beautiful temple. So we do that on that particular day. Now, while we're on the private yacht, breakfast, lunch, and dinner is included every day that we're on there because we're contained on the boat, right? The next day, all we're going to do is sail, and you just get to relax, read a book, take in the countryside, all of that. So that's day 7, and we'll need that because we will have soaked up a lot of mystical experiences and seen the temples and, you know, the Sphinx and all of that. So we get a day just to be with everything. Then the next day, we sail down to Edfu and we go to the Temple of Horus at night. It's beautiful. It's Horus is one of those gods that is very powerful and a lot of masculine, feminine energy. He's very well known and throughout Egypt. And I just don't want to get into all this while we're on this because it would take too long. But this is a beautiful temple, the Temple of Horus. And then again, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The next day, we'll actually go through some locks. It's very fascinating. Go through actual locks on the Nile River so that you can carry on. And we go into the Luxor temple, and that also is at night. It is profoundly powerful at night.
Karen?
Probably, yes.
I'm assuming, but I don't want to assume, we have our own rooms on the yacht. Everybody has their own room, or what are the accommodations?
There are 10 cabins, so everyone doubles up.
Okay.
So you'll have roommates.
Okay.
Or your partner, you know, your spouse, significant other, or your best friend. So it's a great question, Shelley. Because this is so limited, we're not even offering like you can go single. So we really want you to go, and we want as many people that can go to be able to go. Because again, you know, I usually take more people, but not to Egypt because of this yacht. And so you want to ask someone, this is a great point, if you don't have a significant other, spouse, someone like that, ask your best friend or ask someone that you really want to travel with. Get to them early. If they're not a part of your community, there at Santa Fe Unity, Reverend Liz and I have spoken, as long as they are spiritual, absolutely everyone must participate in the spiritual practice. No one gets out of that, okay? Not when you travel with me, because you're not going to get out of the trip what I want you to get out of the trip. So they have to be willing to do that. And then if you've ever wanted someone to really possibly start going to Unity of Santa Fe, this is a great opportunity. Invite them to go on this trip. They get to know Reverend Liz and other people of the community, and then boom. So that happened the first time I went to Egypt. We allowed 3 people to go that weren't a part of our community, and they loved it so much they quickly became a part of our community. So find your roommate. Does that make sense? I can't see everybody. We good? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. On day 10, we go into Dendera, and that is Hathor, one of my favorite. I have Sekhmet and Hathor are my 2 goddesses. Hathor is the goddess of abundance, love, and joy. She's actually a cow. Hathor is you'll see the human face, but Hathor is a cow. And this is a powerful temple. And as we move up onto the roof of this temple, they did a lot of ceremonies there. And then there's a particular room that we go into, and on the ceiling of this room is the first ever Zodiac signs in the sky. And there's debate about how old that is. It's not the actual original ceiling. That's in a museum somewhere, but it's a great replica. And you get to see Leo and Scorpio, and you're going to hear all about this. And they believe, some people think that's 4,000 years old. Some people believe it's 8,000 to 11,000 years old. I mean, no one really knows. So that is a powerful moment where we get to sit in that room and hear about the Zodiac and all of that, because it was the original Zodiac sky, and it's sort of been altered since then. So that's a beautiful temple to go into as well. And then again, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then the next day, we are going into the Valley of the Kings. That's where the tombs are, and it is colorful. Pictures don't do it justice. The Valley of the Kings is a very sacred place. We'll go into a particular temple in the Valley of the Kings, and we're going to go into a few tombs. We'll also stop and see the giants, as I like to call them, the Colossae of Menem. They're like these huge statues. We will also have lunch at a very, very special place outdoors. Favorite food for me at the entire trip, of like this little bitty hotel that has incredible lunches. So that's a powerful day in the Valley of the Kings. And day 12, we're going to the Karnak temple, and it's the largest temple in Egypt. It's a huge complex. We won't be able to see it all because it would take you several days, but we get to go to the key places in this temple. And then one of my favorite and most powerful moments that I've ever had is we also get to have a private moment. The tourists don't get this, with an actual statue, a living statue of Sekhmet. She's the lioness goddess. And the first time I touched that statue, I felt the entire power of the universe rip through my body. It was the most loving power I've ever felt, like boundless love, as I was holding on to her arm, and I had to let go because I couldn't hold on anymore. So that was one of my powerful mystical experiences that I've had. Also, there have been videos, because you can't use flash in there. This is a real statue of Sekhmet. But there have been orbs videoed flying. I've seen them flying off of Sekhmet. So I trust we'll experience some orbs with her. And then after that, we fly back to Cairo and go back to the Mina house. And I'm just going to take it off screen here just to talk about the last day so I can see you all again. I don't like not being able to really see everyone. And we go back to the Mina house for 2 more nights. And our last full day, we again have a private opportunity to go back to the Giza Plaza. And we end our trip together by being able to go into the Great Pyramid when no one's there. And we can visit, if you choose, the Queen's Chamber. It's basically going up like a incline. Anybody can do it. It doesn't take, key physical. It's just a little square though, like a tunnel, and you're at a little incline, and we take our time. I really highly recommend it. You go to the Queen's Chamber. I had a very powerful experience there. And then everybody goes into the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid. We'll spend some time in there privately. And when we're all in place and we're ready, the authorities will turn off all the lights and we will meditate in pitch black, in pitch silence, in the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid for a half hour. And yeah, there'll be and so that I know will be a very powerful experience for you in your life. And then either when we went there for the Sphinx or for the Great Pyramid, not sure which, there'll be opportunities to do some camel riding, which is pretty cool. So we're going to have some fun along the way too. You know, so I just want to show you, it's all going to be fun. I'm kidding. I'm trying to be, let me show you. Ta-da! Camel riding at the Great Pyramid. And we'll have opportunities to take pictures and all of that. You'll have opportunities actually in a lot of areas, like I can't promise, okay, because it could change year to year. But there are opportunities where you'll be allowed to take your camera, and like in the Valley of the Kings and to the tombs, perhaps, where other people aren't allowed. And they basically, we just bribe the guards. I mean, that's how they get to feed their family, and people get to take some pictures in some of these places. So I don't know if everybody gets to do that, but we take care of the guards. You know, that's not part of the trip cost, by the way, if we choose to do that. But we'll see that we'll get to do that. Now, you will not be able to take a camera into the Great Pyramid. I do know that. No photographing at all. Okay, I see two hands, Shelley and then Kirsty.
My question, so I started thinking about who I might want to bring with me. And if I were to bring my mom, she has mobility issues. So I was concerned about how much like walking and stuff like that is included. In the past, when we've traveled together, I've gotten her a little scooter, you know, those little scooters. So I don't know, depending on the places that we would be going, it's scooter friendly. So I was just, yeah, like
I'm happy to talk to you offline. I'll also double check on the scooter rentals. What I can tell you is everywhere we're going, there's nothing physically challenged. We're not walking very far. We're not walking very far at all to get to the entrance of, say, a temple, right? And then we're in the temple and then we're leaving, right? So there's not like hour hiking and there's no elevation. It's pretty flat in Egypt. And I would need to just check about, but pretty much we're able to do some things. I would imagine that we could arrange that. So I will definitely get back to you on that. Yeah. And if nothing else, Shelley, quite frankly, some of the things is we just put her in a wheelchair. So she just doesn't have to walk when she doesn't want to. She can, and then sit and roll around, and that I'm sure is available, right? And that just keeps her going. And the sailing is going to be very relaxing. I mean, this is a trip that I would not want to go drop my body and not have experienced this. So what a great idea. Yeah. Kirsty. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct.
Yeah, you are actually. That's impressive. What is the length of time that you spend in the Queen's Chamber? And I've been in the King's Chamber. The group I went, we actually were in there for several hours. So just saying. And we knew about the camera. We knew about the camera thing, but I have pictures.
I can appreciate that. I might have taken mine in, but I'm glad I did, because I captured a presence, a ghost, on video unexpectedly. that's a whole nother story.
Wow. Anyway,
yeah.
but
And
but-
standing at the entrance of the Queen's chamber. So
what
for
length of time? My question was, what is the length of
yeah,
time?
yeah,
you're in
right.
the-
I got your question. So it's, you know, it's like 20 minutes or so. We're basically in there for total for about an hour. And if, for example, you wanted to stay in the Queen's chamber, since you've been in the King's, I'm sure that could be arranged. You just have to be in place before the lights are turned out, right?
Because the
Uh,
lights, then when they turn the lights out in the Kings, that affects the whole pyramid. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am. The whole pyramid's turned off. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Since I've been in the Kings and I know I know I don't want to say too much. I don't want to spoil it, but I know the space, and
Yeah,
I know
no spoilers.
the one. I
Go
know
ahead.
the let's call it an object that is in
Yes.
there.
Uh-huh.
Is,
Yeah.
is there a similar object in the Queen's chamber?
No, there's not.
So is
It's-
the Queen's chamber completely empty, or
Yes.
is there? Okay.
It is.
Is the Queen's chamber similar in dimensions that it causes that amazing like echo sound?
It's not as big, but I would imagine, yes. But it's not as big as the King.
Okay.
It's the King and the Queen.
exactly.
Yeah, right. I know.
The position, is the Queen's chamber then lower in the
No.
pyramid? Oh, is it
No,
on
the Queen is
left?
higher.
Oh, it
Mhm.
is. Oh, because it's smaller. So that actually makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's higher in elevation. Now everybody's can't wait to experience both of these. See,
And I just and I just say, you know, I was there in 2010 with another group, and it was a quote like spiritual trip. It wasn't a tourist trip. My group that
Good.
I'm the metaphysical group, and I have to say, I'm from here. You know, I actually am in Pennsylvania right now, so I'm zooming from Pennsylvania with you.
Mhm.
I felt so at home in Egypt. It was really uncanny to me. And I personally just felt such a heart connection to the places that I visited back then. And it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, but it was such a powerful experience. So the group that I went with did continue to go for a couple years, and then when things got bad, they quit. So they haven't had any trips in a while. And when I saw this, I go, well, I just have to get on the Zoom call because I want to hear, you know, what you're planning.
So, yeah, it's going to be very spiritual. We're going to have experiences, like I said, in our daily meetings, and conversations, experiences at every site visit. And the Egyptologist will give us some good things to then discuss all the stories. I just couldn't believe all the stories I heard. And the other thing that I'll say is that I wanted to mention to you, where did the thought go? Yeah, well, the thought, spirit knows, and we'll bring it back. But oh yes, I'm not surprised you felt so at home. We all come from there. This is our point of origin. So all the
Totally.
stardust of these Egyptians, or wherever they came from, because there's a lot of theories, because the things we're going to see in 2022, they could never build or replicate.
Right.
They just can't.
And the one other, we went past the step pyramid that you showed a photo of that's being renovated. I know they had looked like some kind of scaffolding when I was there before, but there was another step pyramid that we visited. Are you familiar? And it's the color of it, the stone is red. And I don't remember if it was actually called the Red Pyramid, but it's another step pyramid. Is that one that you?
I'm not familiar, and I don't think we'll be going to that. Not familiar with that, but there is a tomb that I want to make sure, if we can, that we want an underground tomb out there. that I've been in once, and I want to do whatever I can to make sure we can get in. Most people don't get to go in, but I can't promise, and it'll just be a surprise if we get to do that.
Then one other comment, you said that in the photo you had with the Egyptologist guide the archaeologist or the guy who's doing the reconstruction, and when that comment about you're not seeing it, it's, what did you say, bigger below, twice as big below?
Think of the Great Pyramid,
yes,
turned upside down,
yes,
in the ground.
yes,
That's what he told me.
So, okay, so because that's what I experienced in the red step pyramid that I went in, because we went into it and we went down and we went down, we went down and we went down, and far further down than the visual of the pyramid on the outside. So when you said that about that one, then it sort of resonated, and I remember because I was inside this other pyramid going down, down, down. So yeah, it was. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what else to say. I'm babbling right now, but thank you.
You're very welcome. It would be great for you to go back with us.
If that is, I'm just wondering how long is are you going to have well, you're only taking 18 people, and I'm assuming it's first come, first serve. And I saw the email, you want to deposit right away. And is that deposit refundable if life changes and it can't happen? And when is the whole payment due?
Okay, so we'll just go into that. So let me talk about that. I'm going to pull up this on the website. It tells you quite a bit of information. It'll also tell you where where the accommodations are and how many nights. Again, 13 nights, 14 days, and what's included. Tells you what's excluded, right? So, and if you want to come before or after, like I said, there's the pricing there. I'm going to get to you, Kirsty, but since I'm here, there is an option if you want as well at the Mina House, either in the 3-night or the 2-night or all 5 nights, you can have a pyramid view room for $100 per room. So that would be like $50 a person extra. And basically what that means is on your balcony, you literally get to see the pyramids from your balcony. So when you wake up in the morning and have coffee or evening, you're seeing it. The deluxe pyramid view room, I'm just going to let you know, because I inquired, I'm like, what is that? It means you can see the pyramids from your bed. Not just your balcony, but your bed. So, but I will tell you, it's a beautiful thing. You might want to do the 3 nights or maybe the 2 nights, either begin or end with that. But you can see, as you saw when you go to their website for the property, you can see the pyramids pretty much from that entire open property area where we have breakfast. You're seeing the pyramids and all that. So I'm just letting you know. So there is a schedule that actually isn't on here that I thought, but I know that Reverend Liz has the schedule. So let me stop sharing that, and let me just pull it up. Let me pull up the schedule. So to answer your question, it's a $500 non-refundable deposit. And we're doing that because we want, it is going to be first come, first serve. When those 18 people have signed up, it's closed. There will be a wait list. I had a wait list for this trip that I'm about to take in November. I had a wait list. People wanted to go so badly in our community. Actually, we didn't announce it to our community. There were 2 couples that said, when you get ready to go back, I got to go, because everybody that went with me before, 24 people, this was before we had the private yacht, they came back and told the world how it was their best trip they've ever taken in their life. And so people said, when you go back, I want to go. I told 2 couples, I'm going back. They told a couple of friends, and the trip was filled up. We never got to announce it to our community. There were 3 people that wanted to be on the wait list, and something happened where 3 people happened to fall out, and those 3 people got to go. So there will be a wait list, but we want you to be serious about, that's why most trips are $800, but we're doing $500 because this is the first time I'm working with Reverend Liz, and it's a $500 non-refundable deposit. Now, if something came up like a month in after you put your deposit and something really big and you know you can't go over a year from now, I think we can work with you, but it's really intended. We don't want you to hold that slot. And we have serious people that want to go who need to plan and ask for vacation if they, you know, all these things. And we have people dropping out. That's just not fair to the people that really want to go. Okay. So that's why that's intended. And then, so there's basically 3 gates. I don't want to take the time, but Reverend Liz will get the information out, but there's basically 3 payment gates. So you do the deposit, then there's going to be like, unless you have it in front of you, Liz. Okay. And there's like another $1,000, then another $1,500. So it's spread out over time. And then by like May of next year, it's almost a year from now, it has to be paid in full. Because there are a lot of things that can come up, will require health insurance for the trip. But I highly recommend it's inexpensive when you're talking about a trip like this. You get trip insurance for what you're putting into the trip and for health insurance. And I'll give you a way to do that. It's very inexpensive if you think about your investment. And so if something were to come up in your life, you'd get your money back, right? Through that travel insurance. In some of the trips that I've taken groups, not just to Egypt, but other places, if something really came up, it mainly came up because of COVID and we had to postpone the trip. If something were to come up like that, then we're going to do our best to postpone the trip and that y'all don't lose that, right? We just postpone it and we set another date. But if something were to really, really come up and you can't go, and there is a point in here, you'll see it on the website that within 45 days, you don't get any money refunded back. We just can't. You know, all the hotels have to be pre-booked and all of this, especially at these hotels. People want to stay at these 5-star hotels. But what has happened in the past, if something really comes up, a death in the family, something, you know, that's very unexpected last minute, then I have a way of, okay, let's see if we can find someone, and you give them a pretty substantial discount and we do our best to swap the people. Okay. So there are ways around that. So I hope that answers the question, but you're going to know in your heart that you want to go. We're going to do all kinds of like consciousness around this. Everybody gets to go. Everybody's healthy. You know, all things align. This is why we travel together. We do affirmative prayer every single day, miracles every day, unexpected blessings, you know, things like that. It's magical to go in this kind of high consciousness group. That's why I love doing this. All right. So Shelley.
I know that there's the schedule that we just went through. I'm wondering if you have sort of like a syllabus of a breakdown of the times, that are days, how the days will be broken up as far as time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't have it to that degree of detail, but except for the sunrise things, we're not getting up that early. When we're on the boat, it's pretty, other than the Temple of Isis, to do it at sunrise. It's the 3 private viewings that push that envelope, right? To get up before they open up those 3 places. Otherwise, it's we'll have a meeting, we have breakfast, and then we have a meeting like 9ish, and then we go off and do things, and we come back, and then we go off and do things, and then we come back. So I
Yeah.
could probably get that breakdown if you really needed it, but I tend to not go to that level of the detail. We do that when each day we talk about the next day. We might talk about something 2 days out because we need to make sure you get your sleep, because remember, in 2 days you're going to ISIS or something like that. But we usually go day by day and talk about it.
Okay.
This is intended to let you experience the most of Egypt without being exhausted when you're done. I want you to hear this, because the first time I went, I was exhausted. I needed a week's vacation. It was high pace, lots of temples, going, driving. I've made this itinerary on purpose. You are seeing and experiencing all of the things that are so significant, like there's nothing left out. And you're going to have a relaxing time while doing it. And that the boat on the Nile, that 6 nights, really is the magic to ensure that that happens. It's very slow paced. I can't say that. I don't want that experience anymore. So, but I wasn't running that itinerary. So I'm running this itinerary, and I want people to have time to really soak up these experiences and not feel like, have you ever been on one of those where you go, well, what just happened this morning? I don't know. And now I'm at the next thing. And it's not that kind of thing. Yeah. Yes. Joanne.
Well, I have a few questions, and I'm finding them interesting in my own brain. When we're on the boat, is there also the guide for questions, or this?
Yes.
Is it the same guide?
Yes. Yes. I think we will have the same Egyptologist the whole time.
Okay. Do you know how far we actually sail?
I don't. Where the Nile goes, the way most people think the Nile goes backwards. It's I can find that out if you out of curiosity.
It was just like I said, I'm even finding these questions interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, what is Egyptian food? you
Oh,
said
yeah,
delicious.
I
I had
know.
no idea of what it might be.
Yeah, it's and by the way, so let me just talk about this. You won't drink the water. You won't use the water to brush your teeth. It's a third world country. Okay. I can help you with all this. So you're going to have bottled water. Our GI tracts just aren't used to it. The food is impeccable. And the reason why we want to stay at these 5-star places and specific places that we eat outside of the hotels, like the one I described for lunch, and this boat. Let me tell you about the yacht. During COVID, during the pandemic, when the entire country was shut down, this particular private yacht was the first to be opened by the government of Egypt's health department because of how clean and good the food is. Okay. And the way that they cared for their passengers for COVID. It was the very first, before any other cruise lines and things like that. I know this family well that does this travel. And so back to your question. So it is tabbouleh, salads. Wow. There's falafels, beans, meats.
Is it
just
vegetarian then? Is what you're saying?
there's a lot of vegetarian, but there are meats.
And with
it's a Muslim, primarily Muslim and Christian. It is Christian, Muslim and Christian based, and we'll go to a mosque or two, and so have to think. I just know at that breakfast buffet, oh my gosh, Alan, there's, omelets and made to order things and all of that, and breads, and it's a lot of vegetarian. I think I ate vegetarian one time I went, but there's also meats and there's seafood, and so it's good.
Okay, here's my last question for the moment.
Okay, great.
I just don't know much about Egypt. I saw this and I'm like, Egypt, do I know how to spell that? Egypt. So is there like a book like Egypt 101 for dummies or something? Do you suggest?
Yes, I will be, they'll book that. There's some things that I will suggest that we read. So yes, there's some books, and it's actually sort of good because you're going to experience it firsthand. But I can certainly give you a few things, and there's some National Geographic things that are quite interesting, and yeah. And by the way, over the past several years, they've begun to colorize the temples. So this is something that'll be different for you, Christie, since you went in 2010. So all of the temples were in living color when they were made, like amazing colors. And they are starting to bring back those original colors on some of the ceilings and walls of the temples. And so even from 2016, when I originally went, to now, it's changing. And it's just unbelievable to imagine what this was in its original content, 4,000 to 8,000 years ago. It's definitely one of the great mysteries of this planet, how they did the things that they did.
I'm sorry, I wasn't done. I thought I was.
Okay.
I do just want to throw this out to Shelley or possibly others. I may be a solo traveler. So not all of us might have a partner. So that's something we can look at, I guess, as people sign up.
Yes, many, I would expect actually several, in fact, maybe even a majority of solo travelers. This is a way that you really can travel safely, comfortably, be at ease. And then you may not know your roommate, but you'll have a great person after that. It's all divinely guided. If you don't pick your own, it's just going to happen. You set the intention. I've already set the intention. Reverend Liz has set the intention. It's all like, oh my goodness, there's going to be just beautiful, unexpected blessings through this whole thing. And the right and perfect people, yes, even the bag, are going to show up for this trip. They are being called in. And you are the ones that have started this whole sort of thing happening. And it won't be the only time, I imagine, that Reverend Liz will say, let's go to Egypt. But this is a very special first time, because again, it's going to be limited to 18 people, right? And the two of us. So let me just also say, shopping and jewelry, this is a very sacred necklace for me now, but we will have opportunities to go to, they're all handpicked, a jewelry place where you can get beautiful gold and silver jewelry and other things. I know the owner of the jewelry store. In fact, he gave me this medallion. It means long life. And there's another place that we will be going. There are three places I want to mention as far as shopping goes. There's another place that we'll be going that is very special and handpicked for essential oils. Unlike any place, reasonably priced. We'll have tea and you'll get to, find out about these essential oils. And I still have some from 2016. I pour lavender from Egypt in my bath still. I have sandalwood. When my back and my muscles start to hurt, I put on from Egypt. and my back. And then the third place is when we go out to the Valley of the Kings, there is a special place that we'll go that have statues. And we'll meet the people that make these statues. And there are some statues that they literally make and they are alive. You will feel the energy. There's energy in everything. So it's a very special place that I enjoy visiting. I have a Sekhmet statue. I have an alabaster Horus statue, things like that. Okay. So you don't have to go shopping in the typical tourist things. These are handpicked because they're the best of the best for value and what you get. And so those are three things that I also wanted to mention. Okay, I wanted to keep this to an hour. I think we're sort of coming close to that. I'll have packing suggestions, all that. And we will have one and probably two meetings once we got to 18 people. We're going to have time together online, okay, to get to know one another and to set our intentions and to talk about ways to prepare. And so we'll have like two of these before we even come together. And it, you know, I have someone that can help with airfare. If you want help with airfare, we can also find out what flights most people are going to from Santa Fe, things like that. Other questions? So you want to get your deposit in. If you know you want to go, just go ahead and say, I'm going.
Hello, Karen.
Yes, Jacqueline.
Yeah, look, first of all, I just want to say that my iPhone flipped into a safe driving mode, so I haven't been able to visualize anything. I've just been able to hear, unfortunately. But what is the best way for me to lock in a spot in this trip and give my deposit? Because I definitely want to do it.
I'm going to let Liz answer that question.
Okay, Liz.
Well, I can tell you is I'm going to have a conversation with Wanda, who's running our business admin, and she will just have a designated account. So we just need to have on there, if it's going to be a check, which is actually most preferable, but you know, if you go through the donations and you're putting $500, $1,000 down, it needs to be denoted. And we did take into account that there are some credit card fees. So the church won't be dinged for that. That's part of the inclusive. So it's not a problem putting it on a credit card. Just make sure that it's denoted that it's Egypt 2023, and we'll have a separate account set up for all those payments and a list. So that's the easy way to do that.
So I can see Wanda, say, before the church service?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, absolutely. It sounds fabulous. I've always wanted to travel, you know, with a higher consciousness group, and Egypt is perfect.
Right.
Good, Jacqueline. Yeah, so that's the thing. And what I would say is I would also suggest send an email stating your intention, like, I'm putting my deposit in to Reverend Liz. And if you want to include me on that email, you don't have to, but you can. And my email is Karen, usually how it's spelled, Karen, at Karen Fry, KarenFry.com.
Okay.
So you don't have to include me because Reverend Liz and I are going to be in close contact. But if it was me and I'm like, I know I'm going to Egypt, I'd be sending Reverend Liz an email and saying, I'm going and I'm going to give my deposit, you know, ASAP. How do I give it? And then that's what we do sometimes, is we just start the list, but money is the action, because money is a symbol, and you'll find out a lot. You can have your prosperity will go up. I'm known for that in our movement and in our community. And so it's a current of life. It's the currency of life. And so when you're actually giving something in this currency of life, this current of life that says I'm in, then the universe says, yes, you are. And so we sort of force that on you to say, I'm in, so that the universe will say, yes, you are. We're going to make sure you're in, right? And that's what that deposit's about. Right?
Thank you very much.
But you bet, Jacqueline. I look forward to, and Reverend Liz also has my contact information. You know, you can send me an email, ask a question. Yes, Reverend Liz.
So two things. I don't believe I ever got the payment date schedule. So
Okay,
if you could
I'll
send
give that.
and then I can also share that with Brendan, who will make sure that that's also in our announcements. And the health and travel insurance, are there links? I don't think they're in the itinerary, but some sort of.
No, I usually, I usually do that after they're signed up.
Okay.
But yeah, I can do that. It's through a company, and they're really good, and you know, primarily take it from someone who was on a trip, a personal vacation, and I broke my ankle in 2 places on a photography trip on the first day. I'm grateful I had medical, you know, insurance. So when we travel out of the country, it just makes sense, because you don't want it to, you know, have unexpected expenses if something were to happen, you know. But we're gonna use consciousness to ensure that it doesn't. So I don't want to travel with anyone who doesn't have that, because I want that for them, and it's very inexpensive. And then if you want to protect your investment, you just also do trip insurance, you know. Kirsty. And the other thing I'll say, when you do your flights, you're always, for most carriers now, you're given an option to have cancellation insurance or trip insurance on that. And I use it, and I've used it in the past. And when, COVID got postponed, I got all my money back on my American airline flight, so that I had that money to rebook it again.
Great.
Kirsty.
Question about the insurance. Do you happen to know if the health insurance includes medical air evacuation if needed?
It does.
Okay.
Mhm.
All righty. And the other question I have would be to see if I can have a private phone call with Reverend Liz, since I have not been connected with Unity Santa Fe since 2009. Just to talk to you a little bit to see if this would make sense for me to pursue this or not.
Absolutely. Can you put your phone number in the chat?
I will do that.
Great. Thank
Okay.
you, Kirsty.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I put it in the chat, but Reverend Liz will send it out. But there is the schedule, and that is $500 deposit. This is not the whole schedule, but anyway, you can see like the next $1,500 due by December 1st, an additional $1,500 due by April, and then I think there's one more payment. Okay, so like I said, it's spread out, but you'll be able to have that information.
I need to ask, I'm looking at the names on the chat. Sorry for interrupting. Which one is Reverend Liz? Because I see a Rev Divine. Is that what it is? Is that Reverend Liz?
It's you want to put Unity, it's under Unity Santa Fe.
Oh, okay, thanks. Because I just want to send you a private chat.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, the full balance is due by July 29th of next year. So, and then there's also a cancellation. I'll put this on the website as well. So you'll have everything on the webpage that I've been showing that you got the link to in the email, and that'll be on there as well. Okay.
I have a quick question. It's kind of an odd question. Say I put down the non-refundable deposit and it didn't work out for me to go. Where does that money go to? Does it go to Unity? Does it go to you people, like you personally, or just out of curiosity?
Yeah, it's probably going to go to me because I'm having to put deposits on the hotels and all of that stuff, and as there's a financial risk.
Sure.
So Liz and I haven't had that conversation, but that's what it's primarily for.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
because
you.
I have to give a guarantee for how many people are going, you know,
Sure.
and all of that. So, but it's a good question.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Beautiful. Kirsty, you have your hand raised, but I think you're good. Okay.
I'm good. Sorry.
Well, I'm excited for this opportunity for Unity Santa Fe, and I love that you would give some time on a Saturday morning. And for anybody else that wasn't here in this moment, we are really happy that you're considering going to Egypt with us. It's going to be magical, mystical, and lots of manifestation for your life.
Well, Karen, my heart is full up. I've had tears a couple times, just of this is happening, we're there. And, you know, I kept saying, I love God, I love Karen, I love Egypt. I'm just like, brrr. So I'm already high on the experience, and you know, Spirit has guided us into this very time, and you being the person, I so appreciate you beyond words. And we're blessed because, again, you have been there, you have learned from your experiences, and we're going to get to reap the benefits of it. So you are.
Yeah, the intention is from the moment that you arrive on the motherland, you are so cared for. Everything is taken care of for you, and you can completely relax and soak up every single priceless and precious moment. You may not know what to quote expect each day, but you can count on that. Everything will be taken care of for you. And the group dynamic and us coming together and seeing these things and having experiences and conversation, I promise you this, it is truly a priceless trip of a lifetime. And I already have other people that have gone with me and say, I want to go back. When it, you know, like again, in Dallas, some people were upset because they wanted to go back, but it got filled up so quick. I said, well, it's okay. And I don't go to Egypt every year. It is my favorite place to go, but I also want to remain very special. So I don't go every year, only every few years. So I look forward to it. I look forward to traveling with you all. And I'm a minister. I just don't put it in front of my name, you know, with my Zoom. But so I love doing consciousness work and helping you unfold your best life.
Sweet. Well, it's 11:30 something, and it's whatever 1:30 something in the East Coast. So we should.
I have another question for Karen real quick. Where are you based?
Dallas, CSL Dallas, Center for Spiritual Living Dallas. I'm the co-spiritual director there.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think we ought to just give yourselves and each other a hug. And may we move into the rest of the day with all of this information and filled up with gratitude for this experience, and for Karen Fry being our lead, and for all that we've received, knowing we're guided into the rest of this day and into this beautiful, magical, mystical, manifesting journey of spiritual practices and exploration and openness to Egypt and all it has as its gifts. We are here by divine appointment, and now we release each other into the rest of the day, taking the energy with us, knowing only infinite blessings for ourselves, for Karen on her sabbatical, and for Unity Santa Fe in this trip. So we give thanks, knowing it is the best day ever, as we say together, and so it is.
So it is.
So it is. Have a beautiful Saturday, everybody.
That's our plan. All right, we'll see ya.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank
God
you,
bless.
Karen. Thank you, Liz.
Yeah.
We'll see you later. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.